Yeah, and I'm joined by Mr. Jonathan Etland. Hi, John.
Hey, man.
Uh, I'm so excited to talk to you. I have been talking to you for the past 40 minutes, so I don't want people to think that's not the case. But I'm excited to continue talking to you, and that I have been talking to you, and just to be doing it live on the air.
It's been a while.
Yeah, you're already
On the
getting love in the
live on
chat.
there
MJ Pegasus is going, Jonathan!
in capitals.
Yeah, in all capitals. So he's a big
Ah,
fan. A big shout out to Warmaster in the chat. Virulent. Excited to see you guys. Halalex. Oh, these are my day warriors, John. These are like, if I was getting on a Viking longboat, these guys would be the first on board.
first one to die.
But I'd mourn them the most.
Yeah.
So, welcome to Stream Street Day 52. John and me might play a game of Vermintide. We might not. We're going to just hang out. If you listen to the podcast, stay hydrated. Thank you to John's Wargamer Patreons. I won't lie to you. I'm a little bit despondent today. So John's here as my, like, emotional support teddy bear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I do, man. That's what I do. Let people cry on my shoulder and say nasty things.
So
And I can masturbate to later.
I hope everyone's enjoying their lunch. Well, what my question is to you: how have you been?
I've been great. I've been isolated, or I mean, people call it isolation, but I call it pretty much normal living. Like nothing's
you
really
live anyway.
changed apart from that I don't have to go to the office for work. So I mean, it's good. It's all good.
Okay,
You?
same. Well, like I come to the office every day for work, which is sweet. I've started playing a game of Tabletop Simulator Age of Sigmar every morning. Might move into some
Yeah.
40k as well, so that's fun. I played against Croak. A lot of people seem to just for some reason be playing with the old Seraphon. I've played them twice already. I played Croak this morning.
I guess they're quite available on the tabletop simulator. You don't have to paint them, so
Easy peasy, right?
easy, right?
But fun. I've been running a screamer list for the past couple of days. I played against. It's really good against Stormcast and monsters. So I really appreciated not Stormcast, sorry, wizards and monsters, and very good against monsters that are wizards. So I really appreciated playing Randy yesterday, who decided to bring only fucking Stormcast with no wizards. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
sweet. This sucked.
But are the screamers instead? I've been out of the game for so long now. It's we used to have our Age of Sigmar Mondays at a club, like when we play every Monday. Every other Monday we get together and play. So it's like only Age of Sigmar in the club. But since the outbreak, we haven't done that really, because we used to have people coming in from other towns as well.
Yeah. But you have been doing loads of gaming, right? Because your game stores across the way.
I mean, with the local people here, we're basically we're running it BAU, basically. But it's around 10 people, and we don't have the same laws that you guys have in the UK or US. We just the government put in some what do you call it?
Restrictions?
No, not restrictions. They strong advisements on how to behave. Like the big restrictions that we have is no gatherings over 50 people. But we're around 10. And obviously, if you're just a little bit sick, you can't come. So.
What are the restrictions on getting aboard your Viking longboat and raiding?
No more than 50 people because of the corona.
No more than 50 people in the boat, please, at any one time.
Yeah,
that must be
in
hard.
Sweden we don't have the same traveling restrictions as you guys. So basically, this is probably the new Viking era coming soon.
Just loads of fucking Swedish lads fucking paddle boating down rivers. Yeah, I'm into that. All right, well, that's cool. It's interesting as well because hearing about the different restrictions because some people are locked in, especially London feels like a really tough place to be locked in at the minute. But wherever you're listening from, I hope you're well, and I hope you aren't too locked in and everything's fine and you feel dandy. And if you don't, obviously, always feel free to reach out. I want to say a big shout out to everyone who's joined us live. Yeah, the Age of Sigmar, which I think might be our friend John Green, the legend, the hero.
Is it?
Yeah,
I heard that John Green recently got a pagan wedding. That's
He did.
Yeah.
Most people don't know John, the organizer of Bobo, by the way, Europe's largest Age of Sigmar event, is actually a pagan. Most people think he's pretty straight-laced, but he is quite ritualistic. I've always.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably some sort of cult he's in, probably doing orthodox stuff, cultist stuff.
Yeah, creepy, weird things probably, but
Yeah.
who knows? But I want to say hello to K-Dread, Gurzy, Warp Spider, thanks for subscribing. Adam Jackson, hello everyone. Some people have locked-in syndrome. I don't think that's the same as. Is locked-in syndrome the same as being locked in?
I think it's the word reverse from locked out syndrome.
Locked out's what you do when you get drunk when you're 14 and you lose your keys. That's locked out syndrome. I don't know what locked in syndrome is. It's probably not funny. Let's move on. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, have you been playing any? You've been playing some games. What have you been playing?
I've been playing all of the games. I think all of the games that I have been able to get my hands on. Star Wars. That Legion game, Star Wars Legion.
Is that because
Lord of the Rings?
Is that because you want to kill everyone because Rogue One sucks?
Rogue One is the best movie. Everything else in that series is horse shit and bullcrap. I respect the first 3 movies that were made because of their new thinking and stuff. But the rest of it is fucking horse shit. Yeah. But Rogue One is a good one actually. It's a good movie. It's the best one of all the Star Wars movies.
Utterly one of the worst calls you've ever made in your life.
No.
Yeah.
They literally have to make that movie because the first one sucked because they left a fucking hole in the planet and then they have to justify it. Like, how can we be so retarded?
They had to make that. They had to make that movie because they bought it for $4 billion. Yeah, and it couldn't have been more reductive. Let's get a blind Chinese guy who does martial arts. What a fucking! I never saw that coming.
Well, the other movies, and let's get a fat Eskimo riding on a hippo or what the fucking things. Through a casino.
What's that?
It's the other movie from the new series.
I haven't seen that one. I've stopped at Rogue One. I gave up.
I rewatched because of Star Wars Legion. I rewatched episode 1, 2, 3, and I nearly jumped out of the window. It's so bad, man. I can't stop talking about how bad they are.
What, are you talking about the ones with Darth Maul in? With Darth Maul? With Darth Maul? Shut up!
The guy who plays Anakin Skywalker. Like, that's supposed to be the fucking badass in the series, Darth Vader. And it's that guy.
Darth Maul? Darth Maul's the best one.
The most stupid thing they do in that Clone Wars, like Dooku could have killed Yoda and the other guys just straight there, but now I'm gonna go in a spaceship to catch me if you can. So
I actually think that those 3 are the best ones.
No, yeah, okay,
Gungan
whatever.
Gungan Shields, pod racing, yeah. I'm being serious. Okay, but if we can't look, we don't agree, and that's fine. That's the point of the show.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. So what Star Wars Legion like to play?
It's a really good game actually. It's really fluid, and the rules are. It's Fantasy Flight, so if you played any Games Workshop games, it's probably some therapy, right? Like reading those rules. But the only negative thing I have to say about it is probably. Or 2 things, like from the narrative perspective, because you can play the Clone Wars dudes versus the good guys, the Empire, which is a bit weird because they weren't really coexisting at the same time. And the missions are, I'm not gonna say that they're static. It's the same. Because you draw from a mission pool, what's the condition on the battlefield and what are we gonna do and what deployment it is, and then you have some sort of combination. And it's a little bit limiting. I mean, if you compare to Age of Sigmar's like what is it, 250 scenarios, and the potential thing you can do with them, and 40k as well. Well, I guess ITC is a bit static as well from a mission point of view, but otherwise it's a super good game. But I think the game I enjoyed the most, which actually it's a Games Workshop game, and it's Lord of the Rings. I love it.
You've been playing some Lord of the Rings recently.
Yeah.
What Lord of the Rings army are you?
Guess.
The trolls.
Fat shaming, man. Like I haven't been on the show for so long, and the first thing you do is compare me to Bert and Bill, and oh man.
All right, okay. No, the Hobbits.
No.
Who is it? Look at me disappointed like a dad. What? What is
I'm the Uruk-hai, man. The guy who's catching the hobbits. The Uruk-hai Scout Warband, man.
Why do you like them
around
so
with
much?
lords. Because they have the best lines.
Yeah, why can't we have some, mate?
Can I point out something that someone pointed out about that movie? You know when in the movie when they're like, "Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys." Yeah, that requires the Uruk-hai and the goblins to have been to a restaurant and to have looked at the menu and have ordered stuff.
Yeah,
like,
obviously they have a restaurant in Mordor and they have a restaurant in Isengard. Obviously.
Well, it's just I don't see Uruk-hai doing fine dining.
But then again, if you talk about Antarctica, does it mean they have to been on Antarctica and seen it to be able to talk about it? No, it doesn't.
It's true. It's true. The only thing I know about Antarctica at the moment is that that's where the ice giants live, who control the world. Who control
the Nazi gold.
They control the world economy, which is where the Nazis went to after the Second World War.
Yes.
Most people don't know that, but that's actually facts. Most people don't know that someone in Nathan's family is a deep conspiracy theorist, and some of the rumors that they tell us are great. But John, I haven't asked you, how do you feel about the fucking Giants coming out?
Oof, I should be pumped, right? I should be really pumped, and like the models are fucking great. But I haven't really kept up with anything like Sigma related. I've just watched their communities. I don't know if it's like there's no tournaments going on and no events for it happening. So it's like it's really cool, but I don't know. Like if it would be normal days, I would be all over it. I think because I tend to be all over everything, like the plastic crack addict that I am. But
but you're not that bothered, basically.
Oh, it's weird.
Okay,
Same thing with the elves. Compared to everybody else, I like the elf models. I think they're really cool, like the bull heads and stuff. I think it's awesome. I like Teklis as well. And Rogue One.
Sorry, it's just Cake Fist is getting really into goblin lore in the chat, and I just needed to read it. It was quite a long thing, but it's fine. Bobo's happening. I've just heard that. That's great. And giants are huge. Good. Really into that. Some people also turn Return of the Burger King. Desert Sketch saying he heard about the ice giants because he watched Iron Skies, which is nice. Have you seen that documentary, Iron Skies?
No. Is it?
It's where the Nazis go and live on the moon.
Doesn't sound like a documentary.
That's because you've been buying that mainstream media bullshit. Yeah,
okay.
Right. Well, you
whatever, Joe Rogan.
So the Uruk-hai, have they been fun to play? How do you find Lord of the Rings as a game system? Because one of the things, I don't know, I assume you haven't watched every day, and that's fine. We're on day 52. And we've had so many fucking excited people in different games. So there's been the guy who has been into... we had the guy on yesterday from the 30k channel, fucking really nice dude, who's into the Horus Heresy. And he's just super passionate, and he was cool. We had the guy on for Blood Bowl, Mike, who explained about... Blood Bowl's like fucking a decade ahead of the other game systems when it comes to competitive play. They're just like... But
they've been doing it for so long, though.
Without Games Workshop support.
Yeah, absolutely. I have one guy in our club, actually. His name is Nero. And he's been like super into Blood Bowl for I don't know how long. Like they played the original game. Then they moved on, obviously, to the Blood Bowl PC game or PlayStation game, because it's actually like a really good compared to other Warhammer games or Games Workshop titles. It's actually like a kind of one-to-one to how the game plays on the without me knowing that much, but it's kind of one-to-one on how the game plays too on the tabletop.
Yeah.
So they've been running like leagues and stuff quite seriously in Blood Bowl.
I think
So,
I think that game works very, very similar to the board game. I think they might have some of their own rules, but like I spoke to that guy. They've also got their own version of like not the Blood Bowl computer game, but they have an online way to play as well. So they're still having online leagues and tournaments, and it's where a lot of guys practice. They're fucking super serious. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is we've had loads of people on. I haven't had anyone on yet to talk Lord of the Rings. I'd be very excited to hear Lord of the Rings chat, because I've just picked up a Lord of the Rings army. Friend of the show, won't mention his name, but dropped off a Billy Connolly on a pig, right?
oh, and the Iron Hill dwarves.
Yeah, because I'm just going to go goat
They're
riders,
nasty.
man.
They're nasty.
I'm just gonna go goat riders all day.
Oh, nice. You
Yeah.
probably want a mix though. I think that's
Why?
because, I mean, if you're on a cavalry, you can't do some things that you can do on foot. But the Iron Hill dwarves are really good, and you definitely want some cavalry in your army when you're supposed to run off the table on the other side. Then the Iron Hill dwarves aren't really that good on it because they're dwarves and they don't move so fast. They
What
move
about the
faster than the dwarves in Age of Sigmar, but it's only an inch.
What about the goat chariot?
It's awesome. It's awesome, but I think it probably, like, if you're playing competitive, which I think you should be talking that in Lord of the Rings, that's some sort of heresy. But I think it probably costs more than it tastes. I think you'll be better off in taking other dwarves.
Oh no!
But
I
they're
don't
really
hear
good.
this.
They're so hard to kill.
I'm playing it. I'm playing it narratively. I'm just having some goats. I'm gonna scream a lot. Yeah, that's it. I'm like, if anyone says anything, I'm like, whatever, bro. I can't wait. It's gonna be really fun. So
I
that
can't
is one
wait till my Uruk-hai run up to your dwarves and push them in the fucking water, and you can't swim because of your heavy armor. It's gonna be great.
Can you do that? Can you push someone in water?
Yeah.
Oh my
It's great.
god! I'm really
Push
into it.
somebody off a
Because-
cliff and then they take damage and shit. It's great.
Because one of the things that most people won't know about John is, in my opinion, John's one of the best role players that you'll ever meet. Yeah, especially when it comes to wargaming. Give me a second, John. Some people in the chat says, I listened to the latest episode of Bravery 1, or the last episode of Bravery 1 last night with John. Someone sold a vibrating plate during the show and most of the audio was fucked. It was a great show.
Those were the days, man.
Those were the days. I'm up for recording one. We'll message John after and Nathan.
Yeah. Because Bravery 1 it's quite like, from an audience perspective, it's either you love it or you will hate it, and you will hate the people who are in it on a fairly personal level without even meeting them. So I don't know. It's like running with the wolves. Either it's all fine and dandy and fun, or you get fucking bit in the neck. So it's a scary show to record. It's a really scary show to record.
You don't know what's going to happen.
It's a bunch of loose cannons on there for sure.
I think that I'd like to extend the invitation to the Rage of Sigmar guys for a one-off episode, because there's some pretty loose cannons. We did the 12-hour show, and they were just. I was like, "Who do you guys hate on the line?" They were like, "I was like, oh, that's a tough question. They're not going to answer." Nope, they answered. They did not give a shit. They were like,
"Who was it?"
I'm not saying. You have to go back and watch. Or 12 hours.
Okay.
Fuck you. But hold on. One of the guys in the chat is just saying.
I hate you online for saying that, man.
Stahl Ernst says, thanks for your shows and turning it into podcasts. First time I'm live here. Oh, cheers, Stahl. But you took my daily Corona walks for over 40 episodes now. I'm so sorry, man. Like, I appreciate you listening, but fuck. Interesting fact. Oh, Donald Dino's in the chat. Interesting fact. I was telling you before the show, we're actually at 930,000 downloads on the podcast. So in the next 4 to 6 weeks, we're going to hit the 1 big million. And this is actually, as a podcast, this is going to be episode 399. So tomorrow will be our 400th podcast, which is pretty cool stats.
You've been busy, really busy. Yeah.
I tell you what, you could listen to maybe. You could probably just write off a full 80% of those shows. So that's
Why?
just
Will it?
because.
This is like one of these ones.
Yeah, these ones are the best ones, I think. Also, big shout out to Speckles for subscribing. Clap for
Oh, hey,
Speckles.
well, so-
We do this thing in our country, John, where we clap for people as opposed to properly funding their jobs. I know Sweden do the other thing, that you properly fund the jobs and don't clap, but we do
I think
this.
we did both at some point. I think.
Which is your
But
preference?
yeah, they're worth clapping for. Everyone who's in the fucking hospital industry doing their thing.
Yeah. Also
Great
to
people.
Templar, who's also a nurse in the chat. Hello, everyone. Also, yeah, maybe tonight we got a 40k show tonight. Really exciting show. Maybe that's actually I don't know. I don't know why we're talking about it.
I should look at the 40k stuff now because we're starting to play 40k as well, and it's hella fun at the fucking level we're playing at least.
Please tell me the exact story you told me earlier, but just tell everyone else basically.
Oh yeah, so we played like we started a narrative campaign. It plays on the world of Trevor. Trevor is like this explorer who found that planet that is totally worthless. It's not worth mentioning anyway. Never mind.
Wait, hold on. Before you tell me, I just want to point out that Donaldinho is here, and he says that you are his favourite Honest Wargamer host. His exact order is Nathan first, you second, 40k guys, whose name he doesn't know, third, guests fourth, Rob last. Yeah.
Yeah. It all ties up to the worst person on the internet, man.
Thanks, MJ Pegasus, for the bit.
Fuck me, the hosting Donaldinho did for Six Nation, man. It was so good, man. It was so. I rewatched it, man. It was hilarious. He did it in kind of like I'm not gonna say a John Green style, but a John Green style. He did it his own take on it, and it was it was superb.
Yeah, it was. I don't know if he raised the bar or lowered the tone. He did one of the two things.
I think he did both, but in different times. Like, yeah.
That was honestly great. He was going to come and help out this year as well, which is a shame. I kind of want. I know Donald's a super busy man, but I just kind of want Donald's burn corner on the show. I just want to get him on like 15. Maybe Donald just send me 15-minute segments or like a 2-minute clip as an audio note, and I'll just play it on the show. Like one of these. Just do one of them.
Somebody's got a soundboard.
Yeah. Oh, John, I can do my nurgling. Hold on, let me do my nurgling voice.
That's not a nurgling, man. That's a snotling.
Anyway, Darren in the chat also. Big love, Darren, and also everyone else is here. So narrative role-playing games. That's what you're good at. Why?
Yeah.
Tell me about 40k.
So since we don't know the rules, we just look at the box of the unit, and then we just put the weapons that's on the box, because that's how you do it, right?
Yeah.
So you have
box,
like
the box.
We use the box art as our data sheet, basically. And we had this. One of my clubmates, Douglas, had this game with his. With his orcs, and there was this one warlord on a tricycle or whatever, like running around or driving around the table, killing everything. And Douglas was like pretty ecstatic, like this is the fucking best model or boss in the book, like. And then the pro player was like, well, he's actually the worst. And Douglas was like, no, fuck you, man. In this game, in our world, he's the fucking best orc in the fucking. It was fucking great, man. I love it.
I think because if you've been listening to, you haven't, but if the people who have been listening to 40k show, I'm now the Nathan Prescott of 40k. I only play orcs, yeah. So when anyone, and also with a mixture of speckles, so anyone brings up other units, I just start talking about orc boys. You know, like Speckles will talk about dragons, Nathan will talk about Dispossessed, which I'm really enjoying. Gitley asks if you could say Sloppity Barpiper in the chat.
Sloppity Bilepiper.
Simply Bip Bop. Also, one of the most exciting questions I've ever seen to enter our chat is, from Totally. Guys, I just made a Twitch account and like Warhammer. Great news. So that's what I searched. Can someone give me a quick rundown of what the channel is about, and if it's not too much hassle, like in the chat? Now I'm going to let the chat answer because I'm fascinated as to what the answer to that is.
Oh,
because I honestly don't...
it's like giving a Brexit vote to the people.
It's like that much, yeah. So you've been using the box art to tell your story.
Yeah.
And then everyone else has just been... So you guys haven't really been researching the rules overly. You've just been throwing... Have you even played to a points value or just been throwing...
No, we're using power levels, man. Don't care.
and how's that working?
It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not any less balanced than the normal game, so I don't know. It's fine.
Is it all painted or just grey?
All painted, man.
And there has to be a story.
Of course, there have to be a story. Do you want to hear my story?
Please, I do.
How I introduced my warband. Give me 1 second.
It's okay. While you do that, I've been described so far as Car Crash TV for Warhammer by Dudarday. Also, really happy to see you, Dudarday. Hope you're well. Desert Sketch says, it's kind of like Alex Jones of Warhammer. Strong.
Oof. That's... Yeah, you can be.
Oh, Dudarday says I need to turn my audio up. There we go. Way lower than Jonathan. I'm sorry, Dudarday. Appreciate that. I normally check levels, but we were also installing... games at the same time when we set up, so it's better.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
My name is Katorax the Fallen, Chaos Lord of the Black Legion, General of the Sons of Torment, loyal servant to the true Emperor, Abaddon the Despoiler, successor to a murdered chapter, son to a murdered Primarch, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
So you're super role-playing.
Copyright Jonathan Edlund, by the way.
I don't think anyone's ever written it like that before.
Oh, good. I'm safe.
Is there an orc player?
I'm not entertained. Yeah.
All I care about is there an orc player, and what are they running with?
It's 2 orc players, and since they just took the cool stuff, they run with these buggies and shit, and some have a little bike, and I don't know, it's wheels and everything. And
I painted up a buggy.
One player set out the rule that none of his units, like his orcs, can touch the ground. So he has this truck. He has this truck with boys on it, but they aren't allowed to leave the truck unless the truck gets blasted away. Because nobody wants to touch the ground. That's like his thing. It's hilarious.
I'm genuinely excited about when you can play games again, not on Tabletop Simulator, but in real life. Just playing some 500-point games that are just made up of random stuff, because for some reason that seems to be something that I'm desperately wanting to do, is just fuck around, put some...
I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, there are all these cool fucking units that you never see because the rules are... They don't have to be like a lot worse, just a little bit worse than the optimal, and then you just don't see them. But they are hilarious, and in some games they perform, and when they perform, it's more fun, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, well, I told... so I'd like to actually come back to playing narratively, because this is something I'm actually really interested in at the minute. Specifically, tournaments forcing players to name their units. We brought that up on the show the other day. So we talked about playing 1,500-point tournaments. I'd like to get your feedback on it, because you've got some unique insight into this. I know you have. So how would you feel about a tournament that says you have to name all of your characters and monsters?
Sure, why not? It's great,
okay.
Right?
Because one of the reasons that I think it's so good is it creates these stories that you get to tell. Like that time when you played Melissa.
Yeah, oh my god.
I knew you'd forgotten about that.
Oh my god. But I had forgotten about it, but when you took, the wounds are like still fresh.
Can you tell us what happened? Like, explain the story to us, because it's better when you tell it.
So back in the day, it's like, what is it, 2 years ago? The Seraphon book was obviously not what it is now, and they had on the Stegadon, the engine of the gods, they had this table you could roll, right? So I was playing the Dispossessed. It was not even back then the current meta, and I still don't think it is, right?
No.
Yeah, they were probably the worst. So I did my turn 1, moved up, took a couple of pot shots. I think the Stegodon probably like lived with 1 wound left, and I played this lovely lady, which I can't remember the name of now. I think she's from Sheffield. Really nice lady. And then she moved her things up, and I was like, okay, if I get another turn, it will be great. But she got the double turn. And then she started to double turn me, like do the things you do on the double turn. I was like, it's fine. When it's my turn, I will do my thing. And then she had named all her dinosaurs as well. And Melissa was the fucking
the engine of the gods.
Yeah. And then she rolled like 666 or something. And she was like, ooh, Melissa, you've never done that before. And then she started picking up on the table. So like, oh, I get to take another turn. I was like, oh. So then we get the score and everything. Like, and I'm playing Dispossessed. I need all the turns to get over the table, man. It's like, okay. So she just fucking murdered me on points and stuff.
If you guys don't know, at that point, the end of the gods, if you're on a 666, it let you have another whole turn. So she had 3 turns in a row.
Yeah.
And
Versus,
Jonathan.
Yeah, it was. She basically went into, because I was really Dispossessed. She went into like a kindergarten and start doing like drop kicks and stuff. Like, no, not like this. I didn't think I could lose this much.
I've never cried so hard. The first time you told me that story, you were like, "Fucking Melissa."
Yeah. And I mean, it's great. Yeah, it's great because I will remember that always. That Melissa.
Yeah, well, and it's stories like that that make me realise or make me think that actually tournaments that enforce that, as much as the players might be like, "Fuck you, I don't want to do it," I actually think that when you actually start to do it, people will actually see the value of it. Yeah. It's kind of like I'm trying to like you don't want to wear a condom, but it's just more sensible to do so.
You can always stick a hole in it. So.
Yes, I've already done it. Anyway,
the best part is when the condom snaps, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm free," and you don't say anything because you're free.
Right. Any more of that? No more of that. Okay. That's what this show is basically about. Did this just get weird? It could have got weird, but maybe it's always been weird. So you've been playing 40k, and you think people should be playing more like story-based games. Do you think it should go as far as Realms of War story, where it's super, like it's really involved, or do you think it should still be like a game?
Oh, if I had to like put down the law, like this is how we play Warhammer. Because I like personally, I think you can play however you want. Like if competitive is your thing, fucking do it. Just play that. But if you're playing narratively, I don't think like just naming your characters counts as playing narratively. I think you need to, when you're playing narratively, I think you need like some sort of campaign if you're playing a narrative tournament, and then you need obviously like a backstory for your army. I don't think you need to go deeper than that and what their agenda is basically. I think it makes the narrative games more fun, like you know who that is, and then you've seen. So I have this Chaos Lord with the double lightning claws, and my friend Douglas, his orc have 2 power claws because he saw my Chaos Lord fight, and obviously he just imitated him and just took the power claws. I don't
stuck it on his orc character.
Yeah, I don't think you get any bonuses from that. But it's still, you know, like it's that guy. Like he's the he who wants to be like my Chaos Lord, right? But I don't think you get any like rules wise bonuses from it.
No,
but
I don't think so.
I think like when you play those type of games, you can do stuff like that, right? Because it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, because games like Necromunda exist, right? Like, but I feel like Necromunda's too open for me. like it's too free. Like they're like, you could do what you want, and I'm like, whoa, put me in a box. I want to
I
have a
mean,
couple.
we still like in the beginning now. We're still using like how you build your army rules. So we're using like a patrol detachment and then 30 power levels, I think. But we're still like we're using the rules because in the end of the day you want some sort of structure, right? And it's even though I wouldn't say like the game is balanced around those. It's very balanced, but still like what one person see as a nice easy force is not what the other person see as a nice easy force. Like if you go open play, you can take whatever you want, really just keep it cool, but it's very subjective, the coolness and stuff. So it's nice to have some sort of structure, I'd say, even if you're playing narratively. Just if you're playing narratively, you don't really need to like change your armor list. I think it's more important like putting effort down in the story and what their objectives are, and maybe like how you play it on the game. Like if you have a Chaos Lord, I mean it's probably more sensible that he go and like take on the other warlord than going and standing on an objective. Like that's beneath him, right? So it's stuff like that. And that being said, you're still trying to play to win, but you put up other sorts of obstacles for yourself or whatever it is that you have in your narrative. Yeah, like the thing with the orcs, like where his boys aren't allowed to leave the truck for him because they don't want it's being on the ground. It's not for speed freaks, man. You need to be on the fucking
on the car.
Yeah,
on the car.
It's great, right?
There's a question coming in the chat, so I'll answer that from Totally. He says, Blackstone Fortress worth getting for something with a lot of variety to paint? Absolutely. Absolutely. You probably won't be able to use any of the models in a game, but you could use them as proxies for something. But it's a great set of models. I own them. They look great. They work really well. It's a really nice box. Really good. It's quite expensive, I think.
You get a lot of nice cultists in there if you...
Yeah, and some cool sculpts, little robots. You have a great time. It's a really good box.
Some of the cultists and the sculpts are great. They're really cool.
And MJ Pegasus has just made a good point. Going from yesterday in the Horus Heresy, where everything is as faithfully recreated as possible, where that's the case, right? Like because they're playing a historic war game as opposed to a war game. To here, where you can go wherever you want with things, shows what a wide variety of games and gamers we have. Yeah, like that's the point, right? I think the spectrum of gaming that we have, but you yourself don't have to be that. You've played at competitive events and have been competitive. You've represented your country at an international event or several. To the point
poorly I might add, but hey.
but you also have just been a guy having a laugh with your toys, and I think that like the fact that people can also encompass the variety as well is great. I have said now that we're officially taking questions in the chat. If anything's got anything to ask John in the catch-up, because I've missed you, and I'm sure other people have. I can't wait to tell both Tom and Nick later that you've been using power levels. Really excited about that. Yeah, they're going to be like, what the fuck? Which will be fun.
They can remember that every time they sit on their show and like, oh, this is way too unbalanced, this is way too cheap, these points values are so off. I mean, everything is off. Just use the simple things. And I mean, I'm gonna get it actually.
Get it.
I painted a rhino that my sorcerer guy can go into. And you get all these toolkits. I didn't know that on rhinos. You get all these toolkits that you can put on them. So this guy is a combi flamer. So it's I don't think you use that on a rhino normally.
I rarely see the spikes.
Yeah, I put the spikes on because they look cool. I don't know what they do. But obviously this rhino is a little bit worse because I have chains here on this side.
Oh yeah.
And I have chains in the back. And the thing on top is bolted shut. So they only have one exit here. So obviously when I put them out on the table, I have to think about that.
Have you drilled the barrels of the gun?
So this is my sorcerer. And he has a stick. I'm not
he
sure
has got a stick. That looks great.
I don't know if a stick does
Yeah,
anything.
put it back a bit. Put it back a tiny bit. Like, just there you go. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks really cool. Yeah, yeah,
And
really
it's
good.
nice also like painting a smaller army because you can put some effort into the models rather than painting up bulk. But,
Well, there's been a question about that in the chat about what you prefer. But first off, John, have you been watching The Mandalorian?
I fucking hate The Mandalorian.
Perfect.
Yeah. Like the episode, there was one cool thing on The Mandalorian was that robot who wanted. Okay, we're captured, self-destruct. That was a cool character. Or is a cool character.
If you just ruined it for me.
ATSD was T-Rex, man. Oh, no, go. Oh no, it's a ditch. No, it's no.
Please clip that. I was going to press clip. That's the audio review of The Mandalorian. Question: after seeing Jonathan's painting on Twitter, this is from Mr. Day. He says, after seeing Jonathan's painting on Twitter, does he prefer painting or indeed gaming?
I think I prefer both. I really enjoy the aspect of painting up in bulk, like an whole army. I think not just me, but that can be a quite daunting task. Like then you made it more like a chore than like painting the one model and like enjoying the model when you paint it and stuff. But it also depends on the mood. But I'd probably put them like 50-50 probably. I think. I mean, gaming is a whole other type of fun, right? When you get to meet all your mates and stuff. But before I used to work a lot, like so much I worked before. So then painting was a good like therapy work. Just you don't think about anything and just paint. And then I think I preferred painting more than gaming when I was at that stage. But
it's also a little overwhelming. Like, big shout out to Donaldinho, who said exactly what I was going to say. It's like 50-50, get off the fence. But like, it depends, right? Because when you have to paint, like you're going to a tournament and you want to take a 2,000 point army, you have to paint that army. Then there's the difference where you want to paint that model because it's a cool model and you want to make it. Like I painted up my my Boomdacker Snazwagon. For my orcs, yeah, correct.
What was it called?
A Boomdacker Snazwagon.
Snazwagon.
Yeah, Boomdacker Snazwagon.
What's Snaz?
What's Snaz? You don't want to go near it, mate. It's dangerous shit. Dangerous shit. Yeah.
Is that the one who drives through a black hole?
No, that is the jump something dragster.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've also got a mega track scrapjet, I think, as well.
So good, man. Like, give the person who invented them a raise. They're so good.
The names are really solid. Solid. But what was the question? Oh yeah, we were talking about painting. Like when you want to paint the thing, you're like, this is sweet, I'm having a great time. But more often than not, the unit that you want to paint is crap in the game or crap-ish. Yeah. So it's more fun painting stuff that you just like over stuff that you're gonna play with, because playing is also fun. Like, i.e., salamanders for Seraphon, obviously ugly as hell, but cool on the tabletop. So
yeah, I think I'm at like this nirvana now, like where I get to paint the stuff that I enjoy, and I still get to play with them. And when I play with them, I'm using Terminators. I mean, I don't know. Are they good? I don't know. You tell me. 2+ save seems to be something, though. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a thing. Who knows?
It will be chaotic when I use their abilities, though, because I have different weapons on every dude. So it's like, now he's gonna use this weapon. It's like Nathan using his fucking what's it called? Shadespire team. No, Shadespire team in the orc book.
Oh, Moloch.
I'm gonna hit you with this. Now I'm gonna hit you with this. It's like, stop!
Stop. That's why I like flying around my orc plane and being like, right, I'm going to use my teleporter mega blaster, and they're like, no, I don't want you to do that. And I'm like, get ready, and no one knows what it does. I've never seen anyone else ever run it, and it's so much fun. It's crap, but brilliant because it's fun. Did someone say Shadespire? Shut up, John. the Templar. Clap for being in the a medic person, whatever they are. So
Say what you want about Shadespire, but the models are beautiful.
They are. You're getting a load of love off my friend Bradley for your voice, John, saying you're really cool. And that would be correct. Also, Lord Wynn asks when are you going to go over to Finland to play. I think that's right. I think Lord Wynn's from Finland.
First, my dear friend, you have to remove the tanks from the border so we can enter.
Wait, a Finland at war with Sweden? Is this some geopolitics I don't know about?
Oh, it's how you do it if you don't want people to come over, right?
What, you should put tanks at the border?
Yeah, I have full understanding for them.
That actually makes sense. Where else would you put the tanks? Not in the middle.
Put them at the front.
Put them at the front. I hadn't thought about that.
But is he the guy who went over for our Swedish tournament?
Yes.
Oh, nice. I mean, Finland's close. We can take the boat over there, which means you can get hella drunk, because that's what you do on those boats. And just host an event. And after the Corona thing is over, I'll try to make it, man.
As will I. I've never been to Finlandia. Sweden is like straight up there, tippy top of the fucking list, but also sharing a place with Canada, Ireland, and Australia as places that.
What about that fence, you bitch?
What did you say?
That fucking fence you were talking about earlier, man. Jump off it.
Great places. I've notably left off one significant place from that list, but we won't talk about it. yeah, England. Fuck yeah. What is the chat saying? Did someone say Shadespire? We've talked about that. No. MJ Pegasus said. He asked a question, which I would like to ask you, John, because it was directed towards you. What's John's take on competitive versus narrative events, and why there appears to be more coverage of the former? It's a question for both of you, I suppose.
That's a hard one. I think, like for covering a narrative event, I think you need more of a narrator, probably. I think it's probably I don't know how I would cover a narrative event.
Well, I messaged the guys at Rome at War last year, like way last year, so maybe like almost 2 years ago, and said like we talked about, they were like posted up that they're going to do Robs at War, and I was like, I'd like to try and do coverage with you guys or for you guys, and they were like how would we make that work? And I was like, I don't know, but I'm like really like you're a bunch of creative people. I'm a creative person. We could put cameras places. Now all we got to do is work out what to do with that. And I think
you can, like, as long as you have a good communication between the table. I think you will have some hilarious games out of just streaming it and telling it what happens, because it won't be the stock standard. I don't know, when I play a change host doing the turn one thing, it will be a cool Arvis doing cool stuff on the table. And I think for my entertainment value, I think that sometimes can beat a match play game.
Do you not reckon like naming units at least, like referring to them like as in real world thing? The problem sometimes is you're like, the Gaunt Summoner will go do this, but like Ixotal 4 Eyes, you'll be like, why has he got 4 eyes? Didn't see this come in. Stab. Yeah, like what? Like you just add that to it. Like,
yeah. In the end of the day, you as a commentator just have to comment on what's happening on the table, right? Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, sure, you can draw your own conclusions, but if that was a good move or not. But and then you're just presenting the game to the world, and I think covering those types of games would actually put a pretty well needed spotlight on that type of game style as well, because it is fun. And in the end of the day, like you still play to win, but you play to win under different circumstances, right?
I think what would be really interesting is Age Sigmar 40k with a DM. I think like a dungeon master, like Dungeons and Dragons, having a DM who's in charge of the world would make the game, I think, quite interesting, and then is in charge of the match.
And I mean, you could have that. You could have that in a narrative game. You just have these notes that at the table, like turn 1 this will happen, turn 2 this will happen, and so on and so on. So it's like you can have the same effect going on without having the need of a DM with each table, I think.
You also don't get a narrative sport, says John over on Twitter. We're live on Twitter, by the way, John, which is exciting. But yeah, you don't get a narrative sport, so it's hard. But you do have entertainment. I feel like it would be a lot like Critical Role. You could do something like Critical Role, but you don't have to go quite as free roaming as that. You could create like a story. You just need a good narrator, like Angle is saying in the chat, and that is a hard job because someone has to be like, I'm going to try and do this thing.
And I think also it's safer to mic up narrative players than necessarily hard competitive players.
Yeah, but that's like saying like, who are you going to have to present your TV show? Like someone who's creative, interesting, and fun, or like I don't know what the safe way of describing it is.
No, I mean, obviously we'll have ups and downs, I think, but I think it's probably overall more safe to mic up a narrative player.
It could be, but I don't know if it.
And if they move their models a little bit too far, who cares? It's just a gust of wind that pushed them forward, whatever.
see, I listened to a podcast actually recently that talked about coverage of, and they dropped T-Sports a few times, which always made me giggle. And what I really enjoyed about them dropping the term T-Sports is they were like, oh yeah, I'm not sure if I'm on board with the whole T-Sports movement, but the T-Sports environment is an interesting place for the game. And I'm like, if you're referring to it as the terminology for the thing that you're talking about, it already exists, and by talking about it, you've breathed life into the idea that it's been created. Like, if you just said, I don't think it could be competitive, like, that's a whole different thing. It was a funny podcast, is my point. I might invite the guy on the show to ask questions. One of the things he said was that it could be like WWE. Right, that you could have it more, which has been talked about before, because as Alex is saying over on Twitter, isn't WWE a narrative sport? And it is a narrative sport with a plot line. The thing about it is it's not a sport because no one is actually competing. Like, describing WWE as a sport is not right. It's definitely an athletic adventure. It's not a sport.
I mean, if you're being competitive, in the end of the day, it's competitive, right? And a lot of people are in the game to play the game, not necessarily painting miniatures or doing hobby. They want to play the game, like a computer game or a sport or whatever. And I mean, just let them. I mean, let them have their walk on. Or whatever, WWE style.
We've already done the world's first T-Sport walk-on at CanCon. We had backing music, we had fancy dresses. You had Joe Pagano in his all-American outfit. Randy was dressed as a Tomb King. We had entrance music. It was huge. It was for a belt. Have you not seen it? I saw that. The Intercontinental Champion of the AOS Multiverse is currently Joe Pagano.
Man.
He's got the belt and everything. It's real. It's a thing.
That's great, man. That's fucking great.
It's great.
Yeah. So like every time he plays one that isn't from his country, they can just fucking challenge him to the belt, right?
Every time.
Or is it just once per tournament one player can do it? Or so you have to send out your strongest player, like Lord of the Rings, like Grom. I don't know. You can do it so many ways, man.
I like the idea that everyone competes regionally for their one WWE Warhammer player, and then he turns up, because that's going to be a fucking weird dude. Like, this is Norway's weird dude, and then they'll come over and then they'll all play. That'd be an interesting room full of people, I think. I would like to cover that. And
it's perfect because you can do it just on a normal tournament, right? It's just a game with a grudge. So round one grudge, man, for the belt.
For the belt every time.
Yeah.
It's really fun. Pete in the chat, what's up, Pete Pratt? Mini Wargaming did the narrative stuff fairly well last time I watched. It's just the actual game they have a problem with. That's true. They do create really nice boards and add the story, and that's a salve for not knowing the rules as well as maybe they could, but who knows? Maybe that's unfair. I'm not sure. John, we're near towards the end of the show. I don't know what even
Shit.
to ask you. Yeah, we've just rambled. It's been great. There's been no particular subject. I'm painting. I just want you to know. I've told you this already, but I'm painting up lots of Gaunt Summoners. But don't hate me because they're not Croak. So who's now the
last
current
time
bad?
I played Croak was a good guy. I don't know, like they got an ebook. Oh man, it's Mr. Pink and Mr. Yellow.
Yeah, do you like him? Oh, there's also
nice.
there's also
What's that yellow color? Let me see again.
oh, there we go.
I'm watching it on the stream.
See what you think. See what you think.
Oh, nice.
Thanks.
It's like the Stockholm Pride Festival.
It is like the Stockholm Pride Festival.
It's great.
Yeah, and I don't mind that it is. I've stopped using pretty much all Games Workshop paints. So now I use Army Painter paints, which I really like. And I've got some Vallejo.
Why have you stopped with the Games Workshop paints?
Because because of the dropper bottles.
Oh, okay.
Like whenever I create mess everywhere when I use a Games Workshop paint, but these dropper bottles are just really, really cool. And also, there's just some funky colours. Like the green is Poisonous Cloud. What?
You're not using a palette when you paint, like a wet palette, or?
So I don't know if you know that I had Duncan Rhodes on the show the other day.
What?
Yeah, we had the Roadster on the show.
What?
Yeah, I was going to ask him some painting tips, but he actually said that off air. He actually said that everything he says is bullshit, and actually he just dips it straight in the pot. Sometimes he just finger paints it on, and I was just like, cool. So I'm less stressed now about my painting. Also, earlier on this week we had Henry Steele, real name.
Sounds like a porn star.
He does, from the Cult of Paint. Also a phenomenal painter who runs like painting tutorials. Him
Nice.
and his business partner, they run painting tutorials all over. Who also, by the way, was
porn.
while they're not. He also, by the way, was a listener of the Bravery One podcast.
Oh shit.
He described it as a bit blue.
Yeah, that was a very nice thing to say. Actually.
Yeah, and he said the same thing. He's like pretty much just finger paint. Sometimes you can't see right now, but I'll show you. He just gets the tip of his brush and just flicks paint at it. It's like, it's just the easiest way.
Yeah, but what I was about to say is that some colors that Games Workshop have, like some of their colors are actually really good, and some of the colors are less good. But other companies have good colors of that color that Games Workshop have bad. So like mix your paints, absolutely. But I don't think you should just do it because of the dropper bottle. I think you should do it because of how the paint covers and stuff.
Oh no, I actually think the paint covers. I think the paint covers nicer as well. Like the black is like quite thin, which is nice.
Yeah.
All of the paints I just prefer them in all the way. Sometimes they piss me off because I'm like, be super thick like those Games Workshop paints and just let me just like fucking rag it all over. But they're thin. They're just thin enough that I haven't got to do too much work. Which anyway, but I'm not.
Games Workshop in general, you have to thin their paints, right?
But I also I'm not a good painter, so no advice to be taken there. But on my personal journey, and I'd also like to point out that I'm an incredibly ignorant painter. There are tutorials available online from a host of incredibly talented artists, but instead I just randomly I'm a typical bloke. I don't ask for directions. I'm just like, I'm fine, I'll just do it, and invariably it looks shit. So that's my own fault.
I think you're doing great, man. That disc looked like the Goatse guy. Well, what you can see of him.
Oh, which guy?
The Goatse guy. You can Google it after the show.
I can show you a picture of my Boondacker Snazwack, and I've genuinely done a good job on that. Like, sweet potatoes. Right, okay, before we go, has anyone got any final questions for John? I have been loving this. I think you and me are going to play a game after, aren't we?
Yeah, we can do that, man.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Do you want to be a dwarf, or we're going to play some Vermintide? We're testing it to see if we can stream it, because it might be fun to stream, or Total War, but... remember last time we played Total War, like 2 years ago online? It was the most fun.
This was great. I think I lost every game.
But you didn't care.
No. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
It was a good time. I liked it.
Yeah.
I don't think
and
anyone...
now when we get to play together against the common goal, we will be unstoppable, man.
Oh my god, so powerful. So Rograt says, I'd pay to watch you two duo a Total War campaign on Legendary. I'm in. I'm in. What's he paying? $5? I'll do it. What's a Legendary campaign? John, how good are How good are you at Total War? Honest answer. Out of 10.
I play battles on the hardest, but I don't play the political part on the hardest. I think I do hard or normal on the political thing, because it's a fucking nuisance when they're unhappy. Like, why should they be unhappy? You have an army big as fuck, like you can use it to terrorize you. They should be happy, right? But I like the challenge in the battles.
Yeah, I like the challenge in the battles. I think it's actually really, really fun. We should do that anyway. We should just do. I'm up for it. Do you want to? We should book a day and do a legend or a day campaign. You and me. We'll just sit in.
Yeah, we can stream it probably.
Yeah, no, that's what we'll do. We'll just do a day.
I'll probably be dead after turn 2, but how are we gonna play that? Is it like, can you play? You can play cooperative, can't you?
You can. You can do a cooperative campaign.
So if you get into a fight, I can control some part of the army, and you control another part.
We'll have to Google it. I've got no
idea. Hilarious playing Skaven though.
Yeah.
See if the reinforcements come or not.
Don't betray me, John. Don't betray me this one time. Oh, you could give your co-op some units. There you go. There you go. We could do it. Let's fucking do it. We're doing it. That's it. You heard it here first. Me and John, we're going to narratively battle. But what are we going to play? Skaven, dwarves?
Let them decide, man. Let them decide.
We'll do a Twitter poll.
Yeah.
Yeah, done. I'm excited about that day. That's going to be really fun. Just need to introduce some Ogre Kingdoms. Yeah, it'll be really fun.
I think it's just like, it's the Chaos Dwarves, Ogres, and Demons, right, that aren't in the game. The rest is there, I think.
Yes. Yeah, Demons. But, they're set up to do the greatest computer franchise of all time. All you do is you release the end times and all the extra stuff in number 3. You do that whole setup where you add all the extra shit in that they did in the end times. Then you do Warhammer Total War Age of Sigmar, and then you slow release all of the armies. And then anytime Games Workshop brings out a new army, you just make it a fucking new DLC on Total War, and you just fucking touching each other up all day long. Like, just.
We should be the one deciding things now.
Yeah. I don't know. It might get really weird really quick. I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. It's been a pleasure talking to everyone live here. Expect soon. I'm gonna call it now. Expect soon the Bravery One podcast, a new episode to come out. I think we should just do it. I see John's online. Nathan can call in. We're close to having it finished. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But also, by the way, if any of you are, if any of you are sensitive in any way emotionally, do not listen.
If you have a reason to get offended, or if you can get offended, you probably will be offended.
Don't listen.
We did try to record a show the other day, and yeah, things were said.
I would like to personally advise everyone to actually not listen to it. So if you see me post anything out about it, don't listen. Anyway, join me again later tonight. So in under 6 hours, well, over 6 hours, 6 hours-ish, I'll be joined by both Nick and Tom. We're going to be discussing the words we use to describe units in the game. So one of the things that we don't do, John, sometimes is we've on the 40k show specifically, we both Nick and Tom are super talented gamers, and we've had loads of fun doing reviews and rundowns on units. There's a bit of a problem with that though, in that we've struggled sometimes because some of the units are quite diverse, and we haven't really understood. Sometimes we're reviewing it, but we don't know why we're reviewing it. Does that make sense?
For content, I guess.
No. Yes, but no. What I mean is to the purpose. Sorry, the purpose of reviewing it for the end user. So the end user's like, okay, you're talking about Custodian Guard, but why are you talking about them? And now we've got. So tonight we're going to discuss our structure that we're going to use going forward to talk about those units, and it's quite interesting because as we've done review shows over the past 2 years, how we've done review shows has evolved, and what we've learned about why we're doing review shows has evolved as well.
Okay, yeah. So I'm just gonna come in and break that thing at once, by you doing a request.
What is it?
So I want you guys to make me a Black Legion competitive list, but it can't really include any cultists.
Okay.
By
All right,
really
then.
include, I mean it can't be like more than 10 because I can't be arsed. And it must be like every detachment must be Black Legion as well.
Every detachment must be Black
Yeah.
Legion.
I googled a little bit, and I don't know. Maybe Tom can understand what this is.
Yeah.
But it's a guy with a jump pack, and he has 2 chain swords.
Is 2 the maximum you're allowed? I'd take 3 or 4 if I could.
Maybe I can put something on the backpack here. But can you see the head? By the way, it's the guy from the Chaos Lord. From the
Yeah, it looks really awesome. Why didn't you take? What about Disco Lords? Do you not like those?
Yeah, but I think the pose is meant for only having 1 in the army because it's quite static, and having 3 of them with the exact same pose is pretty boring.
Agreed.
So another rule: there can only be 1 Disco Lord in the list as well.
There can only be 1 of each unit.
Yeah, so one Disco Lord and 1 Disco Lord and maximum 10 cultists, and the rest you
Perfect.
can do whatever you want.
Rob, you get to add more rules. Stop. Tom is in the chat right now. He says, "I'll write you the list." He says, "I'll have it with you in about 45 minutes."
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, listen, everyone. It's been a pleasure. If you listen to the podcast, stay hydrated. If you are on the Oswald Gamer Patreon, I couldn't thank you enough for being able to let me do this for a show. And if you have watched us live, like Dude Our Day has, Rograx, John, K Dread, Desert Sketch. You're always there. I fucking love you. You're such a talented artist, Desert Sketch. You should see his stuff, John. I'll send you some pictures. Angle, Bradley, Donaldinho. You guys are all brilliant. We'll see you guys soon. Join us later. It's going to be fun. Join me tomorrow, midday, every day, day 52.
Jesus.
No, 53 tomorrow. This was 52. But yeah, you guys have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Goodbye. I think we're off the air, John. So we're safe. So we're in our safe space now.